You're listening to the Digest This podcast, and I'm your host, Bethany Cameron. Hey guys, welcome back to the Digest This podcast. I'm your host, Bethany Cameron, and today I want to talk about low glycemic foods, what low GI foods are, and how we can navigate through this, some swaps for some high GI foods to low GI foods. Again, when I say GI, I mean glycemic index. So during this episode, if you hear me say GI, I'm not referring to the gastrointestinal tract because that's another form or abbreviation, but GI as referencing glycemic index. So I hope you stick to the end. I'm going to try and make this short, sweet. So let's get right into it. I've got a recommendation that not only will add sweetness to your life, but also add loads of health benefits to your body. Manuka contains powerful nutrients to support immunity and gut health. This Manuka honey is sourced from New Zealand, is tested for heavy metals, glyphosate, and toxins, which you can scan with your QR reader to see the results for the exact container you purchased. This honey contains 3 times more antioxidants than your typical sweetener and also contains a special antibacterial compound called MGO. It's hard to find a Manuka honey with an MGO above 500, but Manuka guarantees an MGO of 850 or above. It's easier than ever to try Manuka honey. Just head on over to manukora.com/digest to save $70 on their starter kit, which comes with an 850 plus MGO Manuka honey jar, 5 honey travel sticks, and a wooden spoon, plus a guidebook. Go to manukora.com/digest to save $70 plus $25 worth of free gifts. That's manukora.com/digest. This episode is for diabetics, but also for non-diabetics, because I feel like eating low glycemic foods in general has tons of benefits beyond just avoiding diabetes. It could be for weight control, weight loss. It could be for your mood, stability, satiety, all these things. So if you have diabetes, you know all too well that when you eat carbohydrates, your blood sugar goes up. The total amount of carbs you consume at a meal or in a snack mostly determines what your blood sugar will do, but the food itself also plays a role. A serving of white rice, for example, has almost the same effect as eating pure table sugar, a quick high spike in blood sugar. A serving of lentils has a slower and smaller effect. Let me say that again, you guys. A serving of white rice has almost the same effect as eating pure table sugar. Now, I'm not demonizing white rice here, okay? But I do want to just share the facts. So, picking good sources of carbs can help you control your blood sugar and your weight. Eating healthier carbohydrates may help prevent a host of chronic conditions, especially diabetes, but it is also associated with a lower risk of heart disease and certain cancers. High glycemic foods result in a quick spike in insulin and blood sugar, also known as blood glucose. Low glycemic foods have a slower, smaller effect. And I want to get into what those foods are, simple swaps, as well as better sweeteners that are low GI. So stick around for the sweeteners aspect of this bite of knowledge. So if you don't have diabetes, should you monitor your blood sugar? That's another question a lot of people have. Like, well, I don't have diabetes. It doesn't run in my family. I don't have to worry. So should I monitor it? While continuous glucose monitoring is primarily for managing diabetes, some people without diabetes are exploring it for personal health optimization and gaining insights into their body's response to food and activity. I think it's super interesting because every single person and every single body is different and reacts different to certain foods. I know a lot of people, they can't have certain fruits. Like this one person I know, they say blueberries actually spikes their glucose levels, but Other fruits don't. And then other people, it's like vice versa. Blueberries are the only thing that they can eat. So I think that having a glucose monitor, not blood. So I think it can be very beneficial to everyone and anyone to know what foods spike your levels, and wearing a continuous glucose monitor can help with that. So I want to get into low glycemic, moderate glycemic, and high glycemic. So, if you are unfamiliar, really quickly, a low glycemic index is 55 or less. Moderate glycemic index is between 56 and 69, and a high glycemic index is 70 or higher. That mostly will include white bread, rice, most crackers, bagels, cakes, donuts, a lot of processed foods, right? And so I want to get into what's really a low glycemic food list for you guys. So, for people with diabetes, consuming low GI foods helps reduce spikes in blood sugar that can lead to complications such as heart disease and stroke. On the other hand, however, high GI foods can be beneficial when energy needs are very high, or when exercise is performed shortly after eating them due to their rapid absorption into the bloodstream. So, like long distance runners, people that are exercising a lot, athletes, they need high GI foods sometimes because they are just burning like crazy. They're burning calories and their body needs it. But a lot of this, including myself, we're not training for the Olympics here. So I think it's really good to pay attention. So let's get into some common low glycemic foods. Okay. So these are low glycemic foods. These are a green light and a yes. So most vegetables are, such as green peas, onions, lettuce, cabbage, leafy greens like spinach, collards, kale, even beet greens, tomatoes, cucumber, bok choy. I would say artichokes, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower. I love cauliflower in my smoothies, by the way. If you have not tried it, steam cauliflower, and then you're going to freeze it. And then the frozen cauliflower, you're going to add to your smoothies. It makes it super thick, fluffy, and you can't even taste the cauliflower. Just be sure to steam it first. That's key. And then you have to freeze it, and then you can add it to your smoothies. Some more low GI foods are celery, eggplant, zucchini, peppers, including bell peppers and jalapenos, snow peas, squash, and mushrooms. So there's also some certain fruits that are low GI. So these are the low GI fruits. Most apples, I would say green apples in particular, pears, plums, avocado, olives. I know people don't think of olives or avocado as a fruit, but they are. I would say unripe bananas. So green bananas, they have the least sugar. They're high in resistant starch. So I always opt for green bananas because they are high in resistant starch, which feeds the good bacteria in your gut. So they act as a prebiotic. Green bananas, make note. Strawberries are also great. I would say tart cherries. I don't want to say the really ripe cherries because they can be very high in sugar. Coconut is another great one. Grapefruit, cranberries, love cranberries. I know you can only get them around the holiday season, but they do sell them in the frozen section year round most of the time. So just look for frozen cranberries. And again, also great to add to your smoothies, also great for UTIs and things like that. And then, of course, blueberries, last but not least. So I want to go into grains that are on the low GI index, low glycemic grains. This is things like barley, whole wheat, oat bran, and rice bran cereals. I would stay away from those personally, but some people and some experts say that it's good, but to each their own. I would say, again, like a pumpernickel bread, that would be really good. And then dairy products that are low GI, plain Greek yogurt. Yogurt, I would say non-Greek yogurt, but just typical yogurt, they do have a lot of sugar in them. So if you've ever picked up Greek yogurt, plain Greek yogurt. I'm talking about plain here, not sweetened. But if you've ever picked up plain Greek yogurt and then picked up plain regular yogurt and looked at the difference between the sugars, and again, the sugars in yogurt are lactose. So it's a different type of sugar. It's not table sugar, but it's still sugar, but it's the lactose that they're referring to when they say sugar in yogurt. That's plain, nothing added. And so even in the natural sugars in yogurt, you'll find that Greek yogurt has a significantly lower sugar content than regular yogurt. So I always opt for Greek. Plus, it has more protein in general, and I think it tastes good. I like the texture of Greek yogurt. I feel like I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it. I feel like regular yogurt is like snotty. It's like snot coming down of your nose. I don't know. Sorry if I just ruined it for someone. But Greek yogurt is like the only yogurt that I like. Cheese, again, low GI. Cheese is like zero sugar. Cottage cheese, as long as it's a clean source, no gums. I like Good Culture. I also like Nancy's cottage cheese. And then a new one on the market is Kelowna Supernatural. They just came in at Sprouts. I think they're sold at Whole Foods as well. But Kelowna Supernatural, it's another good one. They're regenerative, it's organic, and it's grass-fed. So look for that. And then miscellaneous stuff, I feel like I put these foods under that miscellaneous category. And that goes for like nuts and nut butters. Those are low GI as long as the nut butter doesn't have added sugar or added oils or things like that. It's just pure. Seeds like pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, and flax seeds. Obviously, protein like poultry, chicken, turkey, eggs, beef, fish, including shellfish. Those are all great. And then fats such as extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, butter, ghee, and beef tallow. Now, I want to get into some of the sweeteners. I was going to say sugars, but yeah, sugars, but sweeteners that are low GI. But before I even do that, I want to share some easy swaps. So instead of high glycemic foods, I want to give you some swaps for some lower ones. So for example, white rice is high glycemic. So you can swap that for brown rice. Now, again, there's the thing by white rice is actually easier to digest. I typically opt for white rice. Just make sure it's organic because brown rice is higher in arsenic and it could be harder to digest because of the outer shell. It does contain anti-nutrients. So it's kind of like, man, which one do I choose, right? So again, depends on your preference and your dietary needs. Instead of instant oatmeal, a lot of people opt for the instant, go for steel cut oats. They digest a lot slower in the I was going to say GI tract. I said I'm not going to refer to GI tract, but gastrointestinal tract. Steel cut oats are better. So again, another swap would be like instead of a baked potato, you could do bulgur or even a sweet potato. Obviously, instead of white bread, you would go for like a whole grain bread. Again, I would just stay away from bread in general. Sourdough, it depends on people. Some say that it spikes their blood sugar. Some say that sourdough is fine with them. I think the key here is to not eat these foods alone. The key is to pair them with fats and a protein. If you're just eating just carbs, if you're just eating a piece of bread, then I would say, try and add some protein and fats to that. That way it helps that process slow down. And so you won't get that high of a blood sugar spike. So, all right. Now for the sweeteners. So the sweeteners with the lowest GI index, I have four. Actually, I have five. The top five that are best. And I am going to list them from lowest, meaning the lowest GI, lowest glycemic, to the highest glycemic. So best of the best. I know this is going to shock a lot of people, but it's agave. So agave is being the lowest ranking, and the GI ranking is between 11 and 19. That's super low. If you remember at the beginning of this episode, I went through the low, the moderate, and the high. So low glycemic index is 55 or less, okay? Low glycemic index, 55 or less. Keep that in mind. So agave has between 11 and 19. crazy low. Coconut sugar is coming in next. It's also low on the glycemic index, coming in at about 54. So that's a big jump from agave, from like, being 11 to 19. 54 is coconut sugar, still on the lower side of the glycemic index. Maple syrup also has 54. So they're tied. Coconut sugar and maple syrup, low glycemic. Blackstrap molasses isn't too far off. It has 55. So one more point than 54, 55, and blackstrap molasses, which I think a lot of people hate on blackstrap molasses. They think it's just pure sugar. But what a lot of people don't know is blackstrap molasses is the byproduct of table sugar. So when they make table sugar, they extract all the vitamins, all the nutrients, all the micronutrients from sugar, because it actually does have some. And the waste from that is blackstrap molasses. So if you've ever tried it, oh my goodness, it is a punch. It's not like you're eating a spoon of honey. Like blackstrap molasses, you can taste the vitamins and the minerals. And if you're constipated, extra tip here, blackstrap molasses has been beneficial in relieving constipation, especially in children. So if your child is constipated, maybe try adding some blackstrap molasses to their meal, or maybe to some hot water, and have them, not hot, warm water, and just kind of have them sip on it. And that could be a remedy and a cure. Also, a blackstrap molasses can help with iron deficiency. So if you are low in iron, if you're anemic, adding blackstrap molasses to your diet can significantly help increase those levels. All right, this is not a blackstrap molasses episode here. So the next one is raw honey. Now, honey is just above the low glycemic index, coming in between 59 and 61 respectively. So honey is in the moderate glycemic index. So again, I love raw honey. I think that's literally my sweetener of choice, despite all the benefits of the previous sweeteners I just mentioned. I feel like raw honey, it has digestive enzymes, it has active enzymes, and it's antiviral, antibacterial. So as long as you're not obviously eating like spoons of it, right? If you're just adding a little bit here and there, I think it's great. Again, you know your body best. Now, I want to talk a little bit about 0-calorie sweeteners, such as stevia and monk fruit. Those do not raise your GI at all. However, there are other potential complications with these sweeteners. For example, stevia is known as a contraceptive, and studies found that stevia disrupts the gut microbiome. And many also experience cramping, gas, bloating, and headaches. So, in my own personal opinion, monk fruit and stevia just taste incredibly chemically. I don't even know if that's a word, but they just taste like a chemical, and they leave a lingering aftertaste in my mouth. And I know a lot of people have agreed with me, like on Instagram when I talk about it. They're just like, yeah, it just tastes weird. 0-calorie sweeteners also can contribute to weight gain because they send signals to the body to crave more sugar and sweet things, resulting in more calories consumed due to more sweet cravings. So in my personal opinion, if I'm craving something sweet, I often just opt for a piece of fruit, pears. I've been on like a pear kick lately. So an apple, something like that, because it has fiber, it has natural fiber within the fruit, and it can just benefit your overall satiety better. So I would always opt for a piece of fruit rather than something with a 0-calorie sweetener, because then your body is like, it craves more. It's not getting that sugar fix because it's actually not sugar, if that makes sense. So it's going to crave sugar until it actually gets sugar. So anyways, I hope this episode was helpful. It kind of opened your eyes, and you may want to invest in a glucose monitor, maybe not. You can just see how you feel and take a journal and journal how you feel after eating certain foods. Maybe experiment, maybe eat a piece of toast alone and see how you feel. And then the next day, eat a piece of toast with some protein and fat, and then see how you feel, and journal and see how long it took you to get hungry after that plain piece of toast versus the piece of toast with fat and protein. Things like that. Journaling can be super helpful, and it helps you go back and feel like, oh yeah, I didn't have that sugar craving that day because I had, some eggs in the morning or something like that. So again, this is just something to open up your eyes and make you start thinking about things. And that's all I got for you today. So I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for listening to this episode of Digest This. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review in your podcast app to let us know. If you're ever wondering how you can support me and this podcast, sharing it with your friends and family is the best way. This is a Wellness Loud production produced by Drake Peterson and edited by Mike Fry. To check out more shows by my team, go to wellnessloud.com, and to email the show, message us at digestthispod@gmail.com. See you next time. The content of this show is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for individual medical and mental health advice and does not constitute a provider-patient relationship. As always, talk to your doctor or health team first.